Oh, nice, fantastic.
I know, right? If that was the reaction from like actual people, for me like coming by like, oh, fantastic.
Alright.
So that's what popular feels. That's what being liked feels like. Shit.
There, I think the stream is live now.
Yeah, I'll just post it on 32. Reagan, you can join it.
Yep.
Who do you guys want me to watch, like mostly, or like what specifically?
Well, the thing happened is like, oh wait, let me mute the stream. Okay, we were supposed to like win easily. At least I feel like we just kind of like kept dropping, and it became an even fight on the clock. Which I guess, you know, to the credit to the enemy team, like they weren't really bad, but it should have been a 3-0.
Oh, okay.
So
So
just kind of like if you can prod for mistakes that led us to, you know.
Yeah, sure. So like you
When we
won,
played
but you
Snake, we
wanted to
like
win
destroyed.
cleaner.
No, we didn't win. That's the
Oh, okay.
problem. There was
Okay,
a
I see.
3-1, and we only got 1 point. But our DM was like superior, I think. We just kind of like either fed in wrong places or were like disorganized or like got Kane killed.
Yeah,
Too
sure.
much.
I'll
So if you
I'll see.
yes, yeah. So if you can like look up and just tell us like what we're fucking up right now and why we're losing, that'd be like ace.
I'm not sure if you actually need to jump in spawn as demo. I can't remember actually if good people do that or not, but it takes a little bit longer on this map obviously because you need to give like both your soldiers 300, so I don't think you got a full buff there, right?
No, I get full buffs.
Oh, okay. Well, then it's fine.
It just I get I wait till I get a full buff on a jump.
Yeah.
I jump, and then it's like a second more.
Yeah, that's what I'm
basically-
talking about. Like on the second time when you don't like if you get a full buff then, because now you're like, well now you're really because you did a second jump, right?
Yeah.
Some demos do that, but I think the more like meta way to roll out these days, because like now you're 40 HP and you didn't do that much. Okay, you piped their medic, but that's really lucky, because what's meta right now is to actually roll out on this side of the house, right side if you're blue, and red is obviously left, and actually the demo man usually just rolls at cliff and you do like a single jump here and then you just walk and you charge your sticky, because
Okay, I'll actually try it.
yeah, like you won't be as fast, but you're just not gonna like die early to scouts, because I see so many demos that roll out main and do like the extra jump over here and they just get shot and they get shut down really easily, and if the enemy team isn't rolling out through this choke area, then you're not gonna be able to do that much damage.
Yeah. Well, the thing is like the first time we always play against the team, I do them jump through May, mostly because I expect them to roll out that. If
Yeah,
like they roll out, sometimes they roll out concrete, which is why I roll out main as well. That, but if they roll out like cliff, then yeah, then I actually switch it to like a cliff jump.
Hello?
Hello.
What's happening?
We're doing a demo review right now.
Oh, can I join
Open
somehow?
for everyone. Yeah.
With who is the stream?
Links in the description, dude.
Of what?
It's fucking a season 32, dude.
Really? Oh, I missed it, might be. Sorry.
Okay, let's
I
continue.
must have clicked on it, and then I clicked off straight away.
Shut up, you noob. You've been trapped in Storm right now and me speak. Take out your notebook and take notes, dude.
This is a bad Uber just because you guys needed to be more decisive on whether to pop or not, because you were sort of trying to retreat and then you get caught in your retreat, and so you use like all the way back here and your Uber is sort of worthless.
Yeah, we wanted to like let them just use into them after their Uber fade.
Yeah, but you're not gonna force them because basically you have the point, right? But you're 2 players down. So
Yeah.
if anyone's gonna have to pop first, it's gonna be you. But what you have to decide is if you want to use first, and then retreat afterwards probably and regroup with your spawns, or if you want to just like give up the point and then like keep your Uber so you can re-push with Uber. And
Yeah, that was the plan.
yeah, it doesn't make too much of a difference. The main difference is if you use first, you're gonna buy a little bit of time so on the point, but if you don't use, you can re-push the point with Uber, which is a little bit easier. And the reason why pushing the point with Uber is easier is just because positions don't matter as much. Yeah, you can just get in really deep, get your soldiers behind with your Uber, and yeah, I don't know. You retake the point though, so far like this game is going pretty good for you, I guess. Also on Cliff, like you were doing a good forward hold, but you somehow let the soldier kill you. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, usually it shouldn't happen, of course.
What happened was like I had a trap. Soldier walked on that trap. I dead, and then I started screaming because he didn't die. And like my scout couldn't kill him as well, and I'm surprised why. I think he took like 80, because you know I think what happened was like there's sometimes a back with like a big sticky trap, where sometimes it will just do 80 damage. Or at least that's what I think will happen, because it happened once. I missed that point where you saw it, so that could have been a different time. But I had like 3 sticks. I had like 3 sticks on the doorway, and he just walks. I dead, and he just lives.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see what happened that close. Really, just make sure you stay on the high ground and that you have a scout with you, because you should never die to like a single soldier when you have a scout with you and shit. So, anyways.
Yeah, we always have like scout with us. Like we know how to floor.
Yeah, I guess you just beefed there. Also, right here, you lose the point, even though like they don't have a demo. First of all, you're kind of holding in bad positions. Like you already have the point, but you're sort of stacking your players onto the point, and you're taking a lot of the same damage, if you know what I mean. So you all get pretty weak.
Yeah.
And second is what I recommend like your soldiers to do is to not be that far forward always, where you can like easily get spammed. Like this is fine because you can spam really well, and then when they're getting too close, you just like jump back and whatever. But and oh yeah, I didn't see how your other soldier dies, but I mean they lose their demo as well. But basically, when you're just holding the point, just have you at least one soldier that's healthy and ready to bomb in, and then you have. We like to have like one scout on the rock, always. Demo can, if you want, you can even just like put stickies on the ground. That just prevents them from going forward. Because remember, like you don't have to kill them. Every 1v1 trade, when you have the point, is gonna just favor them because they're gonna spawn way faster than you.
Yeah.
And so all you need to do is just prevent them from going forward. So you draw like a line in the sand or whatever, like right here. You don't want them to pass this line. You also don't want them to pass this line. And then if they do, that's when your soldiers can like bomb, and then you go forward into them. But what often happens when you hold the point, which is like a really common mistake, is you sort of just, your entire team does not agree on when you should like start punishing them from going forward. And so at one point, like one random player on your team just goes like, okay, I'm gonna start shooting them now because they're capping. And he goes forward and he just gets killed alone. So you kind of need to define where you want to hold, where you want to like stop them from going forward. And at that point, that's when you can like all sort of go forward into them at the same time. So it's like you're holding, but you can also push while defending the point in a way. Because otherwise you're just uncoordinated and some players backs off further while your other players goes forward and they die isolated and shit. Alright, their demo is dead, but they have ad right here. Okay, it's good that you guys protect your medic. If they're down a player but they have ad, just make sure they can't like pop on your medic and kill him, and then try to take space with your numbers, and make sure your pocket scout is with your med so you can run out if they use. Alright. Here you probably should have managed to force them, since you sort of had the point control, but you weren't set up that well either, but at least your med got out with your Uber, so that's really good. So now it's even Ubers and they have the point. And what I would do is take an Uber into them, and you have to do two things with your Uber. First thing is force their Uber as fast as possible, so that it's not way better. It should be about an even trade. Usually their Uber will be better, but the thing is, a lot of the times when you're taking the proactive Uber, they'll have sort of players around that you can just shoot to force their medic to flash a lot. And so I tend to do that just so it evens out a little bit, because we have to pop earlier, right? And the second thing you can do with your Uber is just flash your soldiers behind. I wouldn't have jumped in here snap. That was like a bad decision. If you had ad, it would have been a great jump. Since you didn't have ad, I don't know. You're kind of lucky that you didn't get punished by their scouts.
Honestly, I jumped in to help force.
Yeah, but you jumped in like after
and
they popped.
then he used, and I'm like, yeah, that was dumb.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, I lived though, and then I die.
Yeah, because you were pretty weak, even though you lived, so it was still a bad decision. Also, the thing about Demo Man is like when your team's going for an exchange, you should predict that their Uber is going to be a little bit better than yours, even if you force them to flash. And so your team's going to have to retreat, and one of the most useful things you can do as a demo is just like sticky the shit out of the floor, so that if they like chase your team, they have to either take care of the sticks or you can launch their Uber away.
I do it quite a few times, but the problem is sometimes just scouts decide, you know what, I'll just shoot them.
Yeah, but if you're like, if they're shooting your sticks or whatever, they're not shooting your medic and other players, right? So just like spewing out a bunch of sticks on the floor is pretty good. And if they run straight over it,
I usually do that.
If they run straight over it with their Uber, you're kind of like blocking them from retreating as well. So it's good either way. Your mid fights seem good though, like you win most mid fights. One thing you can try to do is, I was talking about this earlier, but you know when you're holding, right? Treat holds a little bit more like mid fights, because I can tell that you guys coordinate on mid fights with your soldiers and shit. But when you're holding, it's like there's no incentive as to when to push, but you sort of need to have an imaginary mid fight whenever you're holding. Just decide like when they've gone far enough up, that's when you like have your fight, and then your soldiers need to bomb. And if your soldiers are just like sitting on the floor and taking spam from their scouts and stickies and whatnot, then they're really weak and they're going back here because they're weak. Then they're not in position to bomb. So as a soldier, at least like usually just try to like stick around, spam from a bit further away, and stay healthy so that
the strat on our mates is play a rock and wait till like one of their players decides to walk on point, and then two scouts just fuck him, and as soon as we get one pick, we just collapse on them.
Yeah, and you can do the same when you're holding the point, right? But it's just like, since you're not used to it yet, I can see that sometimes when you're just holding the point, you give it up for free because you guys are not sure like when you go forward and when you don't have the rules, and then yeah, I don't know.
See, this is why we need you in spec all the time on all of our games.
If I only had the time.
Keep it in mind.
This is good. You kill the feeding soldier.
There's a cheap hat for you into.
Dude, their scout beefed so hard on Kane there. Holy moly. I don't know, like, if that was one of your guys' fault or Kane's fault, but just make sure that Kane isn't like alone against one of their scouts for a full minute or whatever.
Yeah, I have no idea how that happens, because there are a lot of times when I like see us play is like,
well, I think
like in between people, but sometimes I just kind of look, and Kane is alone.
I
I
think
have no
last
idea if
time
it's
I
like-
did a map talk for you guys, we talked about like positions and like we were talking about holding their cliff versus holding behind the house as a medic, and we sort of agreed that holding near the cliff is better because you have a med pack and you can't get flanked, whereas like on behind the house you can really easily
Kane
get
seemed to
flanked
forget.
from here and stuff. So
Well, yeah, I was behind them. Obviously, I usually watch grass and concrete and shit, but I was behind, ready to like coordinate. So that scout just got in.
yeah, exactly, and that's fine as well.
Basically,
I-
remind Kane to play cliff, not play behind house.
Yeah, I'm also in favor of like having a flank that's dynamic and don't just like sit
My
on their
pizza.
ass watching stuff, and I think that's good. So it's better to just have a combo that's able to protect themselves to some degree and just look left and be aware, and then that frees up your flank a little bit to do other work. Alright, I didn't see what happened, but you guys take the point, I guess, which is nice. Right, this is good aggression just because they're not together. If they were all
Yeah.
together, it could have been like feeding, and then, you know, you never want to take like risky shit when you have the point because you have more to lose. But since they weren't together at all, it's just like good to recognize.
Yeah, I think you're like quite quick at like finding out when someone's alone and to just just finish them off.
Yeah, that's good. And also this is good because their left side or like concrete or whatever, and that's really bad. Like as a demo you can hold this shit almost completely alone. Look, their medic's already so weak, he uses a shit Uber. So it's good that when they're left, which is really bad, that you kind of hold forward and just screw them in this area right here. You can have like a scout on their rock as well and just deny everything. So you guys win this round, I guess.
Yeah, but Strat wasn't followed. I wanted them to cap, so we didn't have to wait for the red thing to come down, and we just would cap instantly a win.
I see.
But everyone wanted those frags, dude. Because there was so much wars, we just kind of like kite back and just fused into them.
Yeah. Now again, like, you and Kane are both like instantly shut down on mid. That's why it's better to go right side usually.
Yeah, we're working on.
Oof. Their soldiers though are not doing a good job. They're just waddling on the ground and they're taking like all the spam that their combo is taking and not doing anything. Oof. Kane just needed to not like chase there with his soldier. It's better to just chill behind the point. Like when you're winning mid as a medic, especially if their medic is dead, which I think their medic died because he only has 15 right now. Just like don't even chase because they're gonna spawn so fast that like no picks matters whatsoever. Like if your team, if any like individual player on the team is confident that they're gonna get a pick and they're absolutely not going to die, you know, just let them go ahead and chase or whatever, but don't ever try to follow them as a medic because it doesn't serve a purpose basically. And so you guys lost a point for no reason there,
Yeah.
even though you won the mid fight. The only
I
exception,
mean, we didn't win like convincingly, so we should have just shouldn't feed.
yeah, like
I don't know what
you,
happened. Just
yeah,
to
you
be-
actually don't need to even like go any further because
Yeah, I
even
mean,
if-
as soon as we have point, we just kind of like let the time run down.
yeah, like they're players that are left after the mid fight that you guys won. They can't fight the point alone anyway. They have to wait for their own team to respawn, and so like what are you chasing them for? You're just taking an unnecessary risk. Because
I have no idea why people chase that.
yeah, like the
Couldn't
best you
really
can
tell
hope
you.
for is if you kill them and they also have to spawn, and they spawn like 3 seconds later than the rest of your team because they don't have the points, so they spawn really fast. That's like, okay, great, you bought 3 extra seconds, but at the, like a really big risk. Like, if they have 3 players alive and their med's not even alive, just don't even go further than mid after you win mid, just chill, you know? Alright, I like this sec. Good force. Just die quickly. Nice. I also like that since they're not pressuring you that hard, you guys are not like backing completely out, because it makes it a little bit easier to know where
Basically
they are.
trying to avoid the forehold.
Yeah, pretty much. And then they do pressure you late, and you guys do like a really fast rotation to get out like of main and left instead, which is also pretty good. And now they're doing a full sack wave, so it's hard to defend against that. So, I mean, when...
Just get frags basically at this point.
Yeah, if you have to pop to it, just get frags essentially. If you know they're gonna do it, like, you could kind of tell, I suppose, because they were so aggro on cliff. One thing that you can do is just try to have your medic bait really hard, like in main or left or wherever you're pushing out from. And so if they don't get your medic, essentially, right, you don't pop, so you might lose a couple of players, but they have the point, so it's like, you trade 3 for 3, let's pretend. Your players will still spawn like way faster, and then you can push, and you'll still have your Uber. But on the other hand, then they're gonna get their Uber pretty soon as well, so maybe you should just like pop and get frags. Right here, it's just like same thing about holding.
Oh, he lives.
Yeah, your soldier there did like a really good bomb. Ooh, that's an unlucky force.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about though when it comes to the bombs, you know, like they're doing this creepy slow push, and your soldier just like actually bombs them, and he got like 2 or 3 kills. Now I can just reset. You have a slight ad, nothing to worry about. Just make sure no one overextends. Looks like you guys were a little bit unsure of like whether to forward hold or not. You lost the scout now, so you should just...
What happened there was like, I called for a hold, then 10 seconds later, I think Dom said, "Are we for holding?" And I'm like, "Yes." And then I noticed no one was, except me and
yeah, I was respawning, and I rolled out, and no one was there on my side. So I was like, "Are we doing this?" Or
yeah, there's a little bit of confusion, and then you decided to back off because it's risky to forward hold if stuff isn't working out. But I mean, you only lose 1, and you killed their feeding soldier, so that's good. Your soldier should have just jumped out there. It's an important skill to have as a soldier, to just recognize when your rockets are better served like jumping the fuck out rather than trying to shoot the enemies that are fully buffed. If you're just surrounded by too many people, just like jump out and get the pack and then jump in later or whatever, maybe with your Uber.
I almost kite this, but then I get destroyed.
Yeah, like this fight you guys should have won because they didn't even have Uber, right?
Yeah.
That's just like your soldier dying a little bit too early, and then you didn't have... I didn't see you have scouts in your Uber, did you? I wasn't paying too much attention.
It was a single scout, but then Kane followed them into the entire enemy team.
Oh, I see.
And as soon as Uber ran out, he was like surrounded by 4 red people, so he died instantly. And then, you know,
Damn.
I like jumped behind them at that point to just kind of like spam them from behind the point, so they don't shoot me where the combo was, and then I like jump in and try to save it, but you know.
Yeah. Dude, this was pretty close as well. Your medic wasn't with players though.
What pisses me off is like this scrappy fight that just happened for the point.
Yeah.
We could have win it if people called like who was hurt, because you could see the damage numbers. Like people were like 18 health, but
Yeah,
as soon as like Scout was 18 health, like people started shooting the soldier who was on 200.
yeah. Call focus targets, and also they had
Yeah.
heals, which helped them quite a bit.
I don't know.
Right. This is pretty good. Like the fact that you guys are mostly looking in front and you're not like too tunnel on the soldier in the back, but you're still not forgetting him. So you actually dealt with that pretty well. And you win the like 4th mid fight in a row, right? That's your scout just there. That's like what I was talking about last round. It's like there's no reason why I should ever just bot into like 4 players when you have the point, because look at that long ass respawn timer and shit. It just sucks really. Also, didn't you guys have Uber there? I guess you didn't. It was either a drop or you didn't have Uber. If you didn't have Uber, well, it's a mid fight, so if you spend a lot of time not healing or arrowing...
Pretty sure we had. I just got dropped and then Kane just dropped.
Okay, well that's unlucky. But
If
you also...
we didn't, it was like 98 then.
Yeah, I mean, if you've noticed that you've been arrowing a little bit much on mid fights, you have to, as a medic, you should be a little bit aware of them using like a dot advantage. So just call that to your team and say like, let's just be passive for a second until we can get Uber here. Make sure we get it. Then your team can protect you. Second problem there was just like your team, or like some players on your team feeding in too early. You don't, on this map, you don't usually want to die for a force.
I mean, you wanna die if you don't have a point.
Yeah, you can die to like as a sack wave, but you guys had the point and stuff, so you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like,
it's true.
When you have the point, you don't want to die to force. You want to just hold with your better positioning, because they have to come into you, and you should just force them that way. And don't give them too much space. Like if they come really fast onto you and you have to like pop yourself to force them, like don't even worry about that. Just, it's better to do that than to just give them a lot of space for free, because you might not force them with spam or whatever. So kind of like this, the Ubers are pretty even, right?
Yeah, it's like way better.
I don't know what their soul is on DH. It's pretty bad. Unlucky that Kane died there, but you guys still win the fight. Only thing now is their medic's gonna spawn a little bit faster, so make sure a scout is running back for Kane. Because the scout could be at your spawn already, and like building with Kane. Or actually, a scout is spawning with Kane, so I guess it doesn't matter. I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
This is just like feeding as well. You have the point, so you don't need to do that. They don't have Uber, so like you're not looking to get a force either. There's nothing you can possibly achieve except like a miraculous 1v1, but that's assuming that the enemy team is dumb as fuck. And in the Book of War it says like, always assume that your enemies are playing smart or something like that. I don't know. Like,
I mean, there wasn't even like anything to like fight for that, to be fair. Like,
yeah,
I think I thought there was a sniper maybe. Because there was a sniper a lot.
Yeah, could have been.
No, at this point they didn't pull out a sniper a single time though. So
fair. Just
yeah.
What you could have done, like this time they only had a tiny ad, but if they had a bigger ad, what you could have done is like sat right here, and then you have your own team pretty passive, and you have them call for you, because you don't want to reveal yourself, and you just have them call where their medic is, and then they like push, you know, onto this rock, and they should all be looking at you.
That's actually 5 billion IQ
yeah,
play.
and you can get like a super easy force. That's actually like a play that I do a lot, even though I'm a scout, but like I tell my soldiers to do it as well. I just tell like my soldiers to hide there.
That is actually fucking crazy.
Just stand here. Yeah, it's like it's the freest force of them all, and it works really well.
I mean, you just shoot once and you jump away behind them, and they're gonna chase you though.
Yeah, you don't even need to like
force them live. Yeah.
You don't even need to like jump away. Like you can just force them and hit your kill bind, because you're gonna spawn after they cap, but then you repush with your Uber. So Oof. Their scouts go all in for your medic a lot. It's kind of bad by them. So now you have a free scout pick and you can... I don't know why you guys aren't pushing right now. I don't know what's going on. Because they don't have Uber. They have like a tiny ad, but you should be pushing.
I think someone called that they were like holding forward.
But they weren't.
Yeah.
But if they're holding forward, you still don't like sit here and play scared. You know, if they're holding forward, you try to bust it. And then you see that they're not holding forward, and then it's like, oh, it's free. Let's go. Because I don't know, like you guys just spent so much time in your spawn there, even after you got a free scout pick, that I don't know, the clock is just running out, and now they have.
Yeah.
Not only do they have their spawner, but now they actually have their Uber, because their 20 or 15% ad didn't matter when you guys were at.
There's
like,
must have been like miscommunication somewhere that we thought they had Uber already. So maybe someone didn't call it they used, or
maybe yeah,
we
like
just thought the med lived.
something like that.
That's the only explanation why we didn't push there.
Something
Because
like
we also
that,
did a cycle wave, so yeah.
Yeah, you shouldn't. I guess like with this sack wave, you just kill a lot of people, but usually that won't happen. And you guys had almost had Uber anyway, so I wouldn't have gone for sack wave. But yeah, now you have to hold it for 60 seconds, and it's even Ubers. So let's see. Okay, there's just bust right side really hard, and you have to pop. Oh, it's good for you that their medic walks through, because now you get the force. But now you have to sort of kite back to the point. Oh, this is a really clutch fight. Kane isn't... Oh, okay. That makes up for it, I guess. But they're gonna have the faster spawns now. So what they're doing is actually really smart. They realize that they have like a full minute, and they can just take like a super ballsy fight. And even though, oh, this is, oh man, it's unlucky that that scout shoots Kane. But yeah, I guess I'll just watch this play out, and then I'll do the rest of the talking. All right, so they cap last. So a little bit.
Yeah.
It was pretty close, on like multiple rounds, but yeah. I was gonna say what they did was really smart, right? Because you have the point and you have to hold it for a full minute, and they realized that if they just take like an all-in fight,
they can literally just walk in, try to bust, like die.
They're gonna.
And doesn't really matter.
They have Uber. They have, so they're guaranteed to force your Uber at least, and they're probably gonna get like, even if they all get wiped, they're probably gonna get like 2 or 3 picks, right? And then they're all gonna respawn, and you're gonna have 3 slow spawners, and they can re-push while you are waiting for 3. And if they cap a single time, they win, right? So it's a really good plan to just go for that like all-in bust strat, and not be afraid to die there, realizing that you have the spawn advantage, and you like only need to cap once in an entire minute.
Yeah, true.
The only way you could like really win that is if you won the fight without losing Kane, and you had enough players alive to sort of buy time for your spawners, specifically your demo, because then you could have stick it off point and shit. And so, I don't know. They did a pretty good jump though, because they like came through this doorway really fast, and it was hard to get their force, and you actually got forced before them. Whereas ideally, if you spotted it a little bit earlier, you could have maybe forced them to pop through, because they didn't drop like they got through for free, but they didn't drop any players without popping. So, but
yeah, if their med just stayed, then they basically would have just got force frags and just could re-push in like 10 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Like their med kind of baited their team by staying far away, so he wouldn't get forced. But then he could have easily dropped a lot of players. But
what kind of annoys me is the fact that I know they didn't call it, that it just kind of happened.
I guess, yeah.
But yeah, actually that's a good strat that we could actually use. Because usually what happens is like we in those fights where we have a full minute, we really try to take everything at once. which is just, you know, kill the players, get the force, and get the point as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can actually just go 5v6 and actually just get frags, die, and just repush. That's actually a good idea.
It's actually
I
like a
didn't think of that.
really important thing that works so much of the time. It can also work like if you have the point, but you're sort of taking some damage and you're slowly losing control of the point. You know, sometimes that'll happen due to a mistake or whatever, but mistakes happen. And then what you can do is like you realize that you're gonna have to give up the point, then just go all in for the point, you know? And if it doesn't matter if both medics have Uber or if neither team has, the only thing you can't do is like if they have Uber. Well, if they have Uber, you can go all in, but your medic needs to run back because then you'll have ad, right? So they get the point, but they were gonna get the point either way. But now you have Uber instead of them having Uber. If it's even Ubers or no Ubers, then they either delay caps so that they can get all their spawners and then you get some extra time and then it's the same situation, or they cap straight away but then you can repush the point because you have faster spawns now. So
I don't know what I try to do, like on the situations where we have the point and we actually lose in the fight. Basically play behind point so that no one really dies, but spam the shit out of them and like make them take this fight for the point.
yeah,
So that after they take the point, they're all weak and you can just drop down off from cliff and just, you know, destroy every weak player.
yeah.
And if they use into you expecting you to take a fight when you have a point, you know, just basically back out with them and try to like keep everyone alive, and then just as soon as their Uber just ends, you just go with your own. And they suicide and waste their ad basically for like 3 seconds of cap time.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I'm saying, except instead of like spamming, what I'm advocating is that your soldiers and scouts and like maybe even your demo just goes like all in, because if they die when they cap, it doesn't matter because you have faster spawns. Like then obviously if you all die and you force their Uber, you can't like immediately repop because your own players will be dead, but you just like wait for spawns, which will be quick because they capped.
But there's the problem with that is like I wouldn't like doing that, because if you're playing against like a good team and you just feed 3 players, they will try to collapse on your med like scouts, and you basically give them a chance for like maybe not like getting a force like killing the med, but backing all of those 3 guys away. And if you didn't get any picks, well, now you gave them a free forward hold. So I'd much rather like spam from distance because it's safer. Because you don't really risk it. Because as soon as you like get into a position where you've been for help, you basically lose like a good minute and a half of the time.
I mean, I see what you mean, but the thing is, first of all, you should never lose your med. If you're doing like a planned feed, there's no way you should lose your med, because if you don't have Uber, you know, your med just runs.
Yeah, but they can push him off, and you know, 2 scouts and a med.
What do you mean?
Won't really, because they push him into cliff, and he has to back out into spawn, and now you give him free full hold. That's what I'm like worried about.
If you don't get a single pick, yeah, but if you don't get if you like sack 4 players and you don't get a single pick, then you're just bad, and then you deserve to be forward hold, you know? So
yeah, but we are really bad, and we don't want to be forward held. So
but here's the thing,
no.
Like, well, here's the thing. Even though you're bad, like you should still play as if you're good, and then just instead of like thinking, you know, we can't take this fight, we can't go for this strat because we're bad, and then you go for like stuff that's even worse. But I don't know.
That's I know what you mean. I know what you mean, but I just I don't. I guess I see a situation where we could try it, especially when we see that the enemy team is like worse DM than us. But as soon as the team has their team has like good scouts, I don't see it working at all.
You gotta
Well-
fake it till you make it.
Yeah, in a way. Also, I don't know what you mean by like working at all, because the thing is, I don't know, like it's kind of like a sack wave, you know? It's just easier to sack as they're capping the point because they're all out of position. The thing is, if you give up the point by slowly cutting away, and you're trying to spam the point, like you might not get anything with spam because it's never reliable. And then it's like, oh, what do we do now? I guess we just do a sack wave. But you could have just instantly sacked as soon as they're like capping the point, because then they're all like in weird positions and they're bunched up.
I
and
guess that's true.
it's way easier. So that's all it is really. Like, it is a sack wave. It's not like trying to win a big fight. It's just abusing the fact that since you're losing the point anyway, you might as well take advantage of your incoming fast spawns and just sack really quickly. Also, the faster you sack, the faster you can like repush, and then they get
True.
less time off and you get more time off. And yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I guess I'm just a big dum-dum and I should just do what you say to me.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah.
You know, they say you should always play as if your opponents are bad, and that doesn't mean you should like make stupid decision, but it means that you should never fear and do like just respect them for no reason, because
Oh, don't worry, fear is not a problem on this team.
that's good.
On
That's
the
good.
contrary.
All right. I guess that's it then, unless there's any questions.
I don't know. Do you have like any like enormous big play hiding spots except like the one in China?
This one is good that I showed already.
Yeah.
This one sometimes works. For some reason, some like random ass people check here, or like they accidentally look behind because they're like rotating from here to here. So I find this one doesn't work as often. Obviously, like this one is a really good spot.
There's the classic in main.
Yeah, and also like a lot of people for some reason don't check this one. Is this another good spot?
That's a pyro with a blackbird hiding spot.
Yeah. If you're... Oh, sorry?
I just like hiding in house, I was gonna say, because no one ever goes inside house for some reason.
Yeah, it can actually work pretty well.
Just stand there, like on the stairs.
Unless they see someone on the fucking cliff, then suddenly a scout will just climb through house.
Yeah. I think those were like most of the hiding spots.
Yeah, also like when you take a point, you know, not convincingly, so you know you can't really do it for. Why should like, you know, two soldiers just kind of chill and spot people?
Sorry, excuse me? What did you say? I wasn't... I had to sneeze.
Estimate.
Uh,
When you like win the point, yeah, and you don't win it convincingly, so you can't do it for. Why should like two soldiers just chill? You know, there's,
having
like,
one soldier
the
up here
rock.
is really good, because you see everything. You don't take spam that easily, at least, so you can sort of be buffed. And the roamer, I don't know, the roamer can sort of choose a little bit where he wants to play. Some like to hold here because then you're watching the flag and you're pretty safe from spam. You can also easily get arrowed, like, because basically a good spot for getting arrowed is somewhere where your medic can see you, but they can't see you, so you can stand still here and not worry about getting like spammed, right? But then your medic can arrow you because you're standing still, so that's a good spot. It's also good to sort of just waddle around this area, because then you can get a buff, especially if you have criticals. And then, you know, depending on where they are, you know, just as a roamer, be a little bit more flexible.
Yeah, and
as
is
a
it better like
pocket-
holding? Okay.
Oh, sorry, I was just gonna say finally for like the pocket, if you're holding on top of this rock, don't be scared to just drop off if they're hitting you with a lot of spam. Especially if you know we have criticals and you see like a sticky or some shit coming your way, just dodge it and get your buff. And then if they're retaking the point, you can just keep your buff right here and then do like the cliff bomb where you wall shot, pogo, and then just go straight into them with 300. Because what I saw a couple of times when you guys are just holding is like your soldiers play here and they try to spam the ground, and then they're really low and they have to back out, and when they start taking the point, your soldiers can't bomb because they're 50 HP. It's better to just like stay sort of around this area where you can maintain your buff and shit, and then just go forward together as a team. Kind of like a mid-fight, as I said earlier.
Yeah. And is it better to like with 2 scouts and the med, like is it better to hold our rock or theirs?
To hold where or where?
You know, our rock on our side or their side, if you like, when the
right.
with the med.
It's no, you usually don't hold around their rock just because I don't know.
I saw like, some people like put a scout there.
Yeah, but as a scout can get back really easily. Like as a scout, you know, you do a double jump and you're back to this rock. But
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like all these scouts with like bad being on point and just kind of healing them.
Yeah.
And as soon as like scouts see like anyone approaching or someone's called on cliff, they just kite back to our rock.
Yeah, you can sort of do that as a scout. It's not like super important. Just be around.
Okay.
The reason why I guess you don't hold like in front of the point or on the point or whatever, unless you're forward holding usually, is just because you don't need to. Because they need to walk on the point to cap, so you don't need to like physically be on the point. You can hold like behind it and sort of abuse the fact. Yeah, you're abusing the fact that they have to come into you, and there's like a little bit of a choke point here in a way. There's a choke point here, sort of, and so they have to sort of come into that area if they want to walk into the point, and so distancing yourself as a scout, being on this rock is sort of the perfect distance, because now, you know, you have high ground and shit, and you're at a distance where you can deal like 60 damage shots to people that are walking close to the point, but you are far enough away to where you can like dodge most projectiles and shit. So this is like the perfect position to hold as a scout. And then, you know, usually your med just holds behind the rock, where you won't get spammed easily and shit, and you can heal most people. Sometimes if you have ad, I like to have my medic on cliff, because it's pretty hard to sack against a medic that's on cliff. Oh, just a sec.
Yeah, we should do that.
Oh, sorry. I just had to cough because I have a little bit of a cold after LAN. Like, I think someone had an infection.
Anytime you go to any convention or whatever, someone's bound to be fucking to get you sick, dude.
Yeah, there were so many people that got sick after LAN. So yeah.
I wanted to go back here and I'm really sad about it.
Unlucky. Maybe I-65, I don't know.
Maybe.
Well, I'm going anyway, so let me know if you go. We can meet up.
Hell yeah.
But
meet up.
Yeah, if your medic is holding cliff, you still have one scout on the rock, and then I like playing right here as a scout. So having your second scout on this fence, because this is like the ultimate spot to deny people. You can see everything, and you have the highest of high grounds basically, and so it's a really
basically kite the vet onto the rock anytime you expect a sack wave.
Yeah. Also,
yeah, we never actually do that, so that's actually what we should just get in the habit of doing.
You can hold here as a scout as well, but usually when our medic holds cliff, our soldier is right here, and then I don't like to be on top of my soldier because then we're just gonna take collateral damage. So I'm right here, and it's almost as good as a scout just because you can like just jump forward into the people that are sacking. Sometimes holding on this rock, like it's closer, which is technically a little bit better when you're in front of the medic because you can deal higher damage shots earlier to essentially stop their momentum and prevent them from getting to your med. But it can be punished also in a way, because if they jump past you, like they do a really fast skip over this rock and onto your cliff, right?
Yeah, there's no way you can defend them at then.
Well, you can, but it's like you gotta you miss one shot. Oops, I accidentally teleported. You gotta like do a 180 and it's like harder to track them and shit. But here, it's like they're not gonna pass you usually, and so they'll be in front of you, and even if you miss your first shot, you can usually land a more secure like second shot on them. But I don't know, what's are really good. I just sit here because my soldiers usually on the rock. And then when you do have Uber, if you still, well, you have Uber, right? But if you still expect them to like sack, you can stay on cliff. But when you think they're getting close to Uber, I like just dropping down with my medic because, well, because otherwise what they can do is they can just start like edging the cap, and if your heals are on cliff, it's really hard to challenge that because they can have their heals right here. And even if you spam, like, they can just heal the scouts that are capping, and you're not gonna get them. And so, when it's even Ubers and you don't fear a sack wave anymore, there's no good reason to have your medic on cliff, really. Unless, I don't know, if they have a sniper, you can sort of stay safe here. Or below cliff or whatever. But I guess you're also kind of safe behind this rock. But yeah, I think that's it. And I'm going to get something to eat.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for like uptake, dude.
Yeah, man. No problem.
Always reliable.
The team is staying together for next season, right?
Of course, and the season after that, and the season after that, you
Oh,
know
dude.
how it is.
And I-65.
Oh yeah. Nice. That's epic.
I mean, I said, you know, already, you know, we
Yeah,
go in playoffs every season, and
Dude,
we gotta end up in the Prem eventually.
Yeah, I'm honestly jealous because I have to do like so much work with my team every season because there's so many changes and it's pretty annoying. But you know, I'm managing hopefully, so we'll see. But yeah,
You know, if you ever need a demo,
you can join us.
hook me up.
maybe
Always looking for subs.
The door's open, my dude.
we'll see.
Doors
I'll
open.
first try to keep my team alive and then I'll consider it. But
I mean, you already sandbagging open in, you know, Highlander. Why not? Why not
that's
sixes?
I'm playing with my friends in Highlander. You know, like you guys aren't my friends. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my god!
Wow.
It's
What
confirmed.
the
That's how it is. That's it.
What the fuck,
Oh
This feels like a relationship now.
man.
bro? Did you just break up with us? Did you just friend zone us?
No,
Holy shit.
I like
Wait,
now.
no, you literally unfriend zone.
I unfriends on you. I don't know what that means.
You blocked us
Me
from
neither.
being your friends, dude. SMH.
Oh man, yeah, that was kind of rude by me. Well,
Uh,
I'll see you
I
guys later.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, dude.
No problem. Have a good
Cheers,
evening.
man. Yeah, same.